times going live with anyone. Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
I love that you got on a little early. Thank you.
Yeah, that's okay. I wanted to, warm up the crowd. If it would have been any longer, I would have been telling some jokes, and I don't know if that.
And I think everybody needs warming right now. So what better than the two of us who come in with pretty strong love to be like, hey, it's going to be fine. It's going to But I'm really excited to be here with you, Cooper, and I'm really excited to be here with all of you guys. Holy goodness, I think we all need just a little bit of like, what the fuck right now? And if you're in love with Cooper and don't know me, I cuss a lot. I'm so sorry. Like, plug your ears if you need to. But like, really, the world's crazy enough that my foul mouth is the least of our worries today, I guess.
Yeah, and that comes through too with me. Sometimes we just need a good shit or a good fuck. But if we have too much of a good shit, there's not enough toilet paper, so
we have to be careful in these times, right?
Watch out. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm excited because I've been luckily working with clients a little bit all day, and I kind of was like, things were brewing up to the surface that I wanted to make sure we covered. So I sent Coop a message, and I'm like, hey, and he's like, yeah. So just know that already the two of us are pretty aligned with what we're excited to be here to share today.
Yeah.
I think that we've also both been very conscious of like not getting in there beforehand to see what we were going to say. So this is going to be pretty sincere and raw in that way. And I'm excited to be able to play up the energy of each other so that we can come in with maybe something that's a little more solid.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking the same thing. And it's super, I mean, the opportunity to like, to channel or do any sort of work like this with somebody is super duper special, because it raises the vibration and it brings even more language into the conversation. So special, so cool, so fun.
And so can I just start with this one thing? It's the first thing that I emailed Cooper too. I think we're all pretty pissed off that we didn't see this coming. By the way, we knew that 2020 was going to have some twists and turns.
Yeah.
But the fact that all of us as what you might call seers or psychics, and none of us could clearly predict like, oh, the shit's going to hit the fan in March. I'm a little frustrated with that.
Yeah, I think we were expecting 2020 to be a looking glass year. But we didn't expect it to be a microscope year.
Wait, glass mean? Because you just went all conspiratorial with looking glass. You know that, don't you? This is not a conspiratorial message today. And I think I've tried to be really clean and like, I don't want, like, that's my personal experience of things. It's not coming through with collectively.
Absolutely. That totally makes sense. And I think, I mean, as I am seeing that as a collective message, especially since like just the phrase 2020 is its own metaphor. You know, it's its own like phrase of vision. You know.
Yeah, I never got there. Okay.
Which is big, but I think, you know, instead of it being this this like mirror year so far, it's felt like more of a magnifying glass, energetically, and been as far as like what's been showing up and how things are amplifying in every way, you know.
Disclosure, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so frustration is just what I wanted to get out there first. And as I tapped into that just a little bit, if we did see it, we might have all freaked the fuck out too. And that wouldn't have been helpful.
Yeah.
Have your light workers freaking out, that wouldn't have been beneficial. So I think our inability to see it in that way was a blessing for us. So that, and I don't know if you had that same experience or if you and I talked about it, but January, there was this big wave that kind of came through for all light workers that almost knocked us out. Did you experience that too?
Yeah. It was almost crippling.
Yeah, like suicidal is where I got to, and not in action, but certainly in desperation and thoughts. And as I'm kind of like just stepping back and putting everything together, 2020 vision, I think that was the first wave that came through, so that whenever the real thing came through for us, we may not be as panicked as others.
Yeah.
We faced it just a little bit in that.
Yeah.
It wasn't pretty, it wasn't nice, but now as everybody else is going through it, we're like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
How hard, how hard is that to sit in those feelings as seers and empaths, and to have that be such a prolonged experience for the year. And I think, what a lot of us workers in that have been starting to do is we've been working in that field since January, and trying to integrate and adjust. And that's a good thing, because I'm seeing so many people stepping up to this occasion right now. And I think there's only going to be more.
I think there's a whole new wave of light that gets to come in, which I'm pretty excited about. So
yes.
Can we go ahead and open some records? And how do you want to open records? Are we opening records of, are we opening field? Are we opening records? What's your thought on this? Because y'all can tell we're really well rehearsed over here, by the way.
I was feeling like opening records for the collective in this time, if that's what you were feeling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to do a prayer out loud or silently?
I was thinking it'd be kind of special if we both did, if you wanted to.
Yeah, we've got different ones though, so
yeah, which is great.
So 1, 2, 3, go. Yeah. All forms of manifestations to guide,
We
protect,
thank the guardians and ancestors of the
planet, and love truth. For it is not love and
we
truth.
call on the Lords, masters, and teachers of the Akashic words to know the truth. As I see as the records, as true spirits, and the great spirit of light.
I ask the keepers of records to allow us to enter and remove any information about truth. Whew. Well, it certainly doesn't get lighter in there, does it?
I know the stream maybe froze a little bit while we were both doing that, which is big. We're opening the field up for some transmission.
And I think I would just love to invite everybody into feeling this transmission, because having two of us at the same time, and I'm sure you can't hear us both at the same time, which is probably why the screen froze, and that's just how it's going to be too. So I'm just going to ask everybody to give themselves a moment to experience with this Akashic field now activated from 2 different points on the planet. And typically the way that I work in the Akashic, we want the web to be smooth. And right now, to me, it does not feel smooth. It feels like clotted fucking cream. Shit. So let's recognize our collective powers here too. And we'll get to this a little bit more later, but we have the power to affect the field. We're not, certainly not victims within it, but we're not subject to it either. We're co-creative with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're fully active in this moment of everything within the records.
So Coop, I think I'm just going to throw it to you for a second then, and while the records are open, thanks. I'm just going to clear myself of my own perceptions, beliefs, and ideas before I came in here. A few. To perceive clearly what is going on within the field so that we can share it for all of you. So what is the purpose of this? Let's call it a lesson now. I don't even want to open up the records of any virus, but what's the purpose of this lesson for humanity? Oh, well, that's easy. Huh. Are you doing cards over there too, honey?
I have some. They're at the ready, but they're not. They don't want to be used yet.
Okay. It feels purposeful.
Yeah.
Not accidental, not.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it's coming through really elementally for me right now.
Ooh.
The word is re-earthing. That feels big.
Yeah.
And that clotted cream feels like that. Because thank you. We're in such a mud stage with all of that. I think we're recognizing this re-earthing, but it feels like mud because we're trying to throw water at it. You know, our first response is it feels like such an emotional water response.
And I don't know if you watched episode Woman, but she was just saying like today, tomorrow, and the next day, 16, 17, 18. It's all about mud. It's all earth and water. It's all earth and Pisces.
Yeah.
So whenever we get into the mud, I certainly go into my training. And it's that mud that births everything, right? It's the mud from which we rebirth. So the re-earthing, yeah. I think I'm having my own reactions because I'm really fucking an optimist and a sweetie at heart, and I'm not heartened by what I'm feeling right now.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's going to get muddy, and then that mud is either going to be washed away or it's going to cake on and fucking dry, and it's while it cakes on and dries, right?
Say that again.
Not comfortable while it's caking on and drying.
No. But what's interesting is we're heading into Aries season in a few weeks, which is interesting. We have that fire showing up, and I'm seeing this as an opportunity to activate our kilns.
Oh, good.
I don't want to go too extended metaphor with this mud, but I think to re-earth wisely and to
well, and let's even play with that energy of the resurrection too, right? This is an opportunity to re-earth, rebirth, because it's showing us the things that aren't working. The purpose is a hard reset.
Yeah.
Hard is not comfortable.
Yeah. And I think what feels uncomfortable too is, the big message that's showing up through that is, there's also going to be resistance with that hard reset.
Of course. And I think I'd just like to jump in here too.
Mm-hmm.
The hardness that I feel is not cataclysmic. I'm uncomfortable because I'm like, no, that's not what I wanted to see. But I don't see, it's clotted cream. It's not melted. It's not completely gone.
Mm-hmm.
There's purpose in this. And yeah, in that rebirthing, that's, I think, where we get to find our power too. Oof. And whenever I tap into my guides too, they say this is necessary.
Yeah.
It's purposeful, it's necessary, and it's right on track with what's been planned, which is also why they couldn't give us, if you're going to fire everybody at a fucking company, you don't tell them on Monday that you're going to fire them on Friday, right? It's a little bit of what this feels like.
Yeah. I agree. That's been the goodbye.
See, the world's falling apart already, huh?
Yeah. That's been the big feeling with my guides as well.
Yeah, it's necessary. So in that regard, we've been training for this. We've been practicing this. I certainly, I say we've been training for this for a lifetime, so we're not as bothered by it, and we get to find our wings and strength in it. Purpose. Tap in and see if, and I don't mean to stop you, anything else you want to tap into there with the purpose of this reset?
Yeah, yeah. I want to connect up for a second and see what wants to come through with purpose.
It's evolution of human. Like I feel my body like react to things.
Mm-hmm.
Evolution.
Thank you. Yeah. Technology is playing a really interesting part in all of this on the purpose level. We're in such an interesting position right now where we're so connected as a world, technologically, and also as a global community. And this is happening because of how interconnected we are physically as a global community. That's huge. And what's showing up as far as purpose is a message of unifying in new ways that we haven't before. And those growing pains feel hard. And when we've talked about community and unity and our circles and groups and tribes, thank you. Yeah, we've all, as humans, we've only known how we've connected to those circles in the past. Yes. And what the records are showing is that this is bringing forth a new paradigm of community. Thank you. In ways that was supposed to happen in the 80s with new communication tech showing up, and we didn't get there. That's coming through.
Can we blame Bill Gates back then and now?
We can. Somebody can. Yeah. How about you? Something was showing up?
I loved is like the community, right? We've been talking about unity consciousness. And how do we get to unity consciousness? Well, we haven't been able to do it just by clubbing together. So we've got to have cause. We've got to have the pause. We've got to have a new way to choose to engage with each other, because all of us light workers, rah, 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 rallying together saying like, namaste, that hasn't fucking worked. So now the stakes are upped a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And really, God dang, if like we want to get into purpose, like it is birthing Earth. Like you were exactly right on that. It's big. And able to use that potential well, and not. Jessa Reed, I think I told you I was geeking out earlier listening to Jessa.
Yeah.
And like we can make this go away really fast with our collective consciousness go away, but then we miss the purpose of rebirth.
Yeah.
Be a little stronger than that and be like, this, we get to rally through this, because everything that gets revealed with purpose, we then have an opportunity to rebuild with purpose a world that is truly of our own choosing and of our own design.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's, I mean, it's all connected, like what you said. It's not this namaste, like love and light.
Right.
Lesson, because that hasn't worked. And in the context of the purpose that community serves, it's not just to community has never been intended. It's never been the intent of community to just ignore the bad and push that all away. It's been the intent of community to work through and to integrate and to learn.
Well, and collaborative, exactly. Because you and I were talking this weekend, and this is where it all came from, of like, oh my God, like we have so much to say to each other. In these places of collaboration, we are much more successful than we are on our, I don't know if I like the word success there, excuse me. But we are much more, we have greater ability to move things forward when we're collaboratively. So being able to do that, oh, thank you very much, yep, clear, outside of a capitalistic model.
Yeah.
We need a new paradigm for how we behave now, given the evolution of consciousness, given our access to the world. the Buddhist model doesn't necessarily work for where we're at in the world right now, which is so this is evolving even the paradigms of beingness experienced in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Well, fuck. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And it's intense, and there's a lot, like,
In a different way, right?
yeah.
Yeah, cool. No, so cool. That work is, thank you. The work we have largely done already for ourselves because we have been cleaning up so much karmically, so much ancestrally, that the work is really kind of leaning into faith right now to be able to get through it, and then rebuilding in a way that is on all beings and all life that hasn't existed on this planet yet.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. Okay, 2020.
Yeah. And I mean, it's the accountability piece is huge. Thank you, finding where you need to be accountable to your own heart and to other hearts is huge. And thank you. That's why. I mean, that's why that huge. Well, I don't want to go into that much. That's why there are big like voices showing up in the public eye right now that is all about accountability in either ways, whether it's advocating for accountability or showcasing incredible lack of accountability. And that's like I was saying earlier, that 2020 feels like this magnifying glass year so much because it's magnifying everything, every aspect of everything.
Well, that's exposure, right?
Yeah.
A card earlier today, place of like where curtain is pulled back and everything is revealed, and you see it for what it actually is and always has been. That's where the discomfort comes in. The challenges, safety. But I think in that place of accountability, there are those of us who have been trying to like show up in greater places of authenticity, accountability, and we've been called the crazy or the weird ones in that process, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be demanded across the board now, which feels exciting and challenging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love the way that you channel. Can I tell you, whenever I record videos over here by myself, like really at the end of every one, I'm like, almost like this Mork and Mindy, like download received, got it. Pick where I'm like, got it. Right. Noted.
This is something that's been showing up with my own Akashic masters and guides, which I think is fucking fascinating. They're showing me that there's going to be they keep calling it the blue tablets, the indigo tablets. That's going to
yeah, I want to hear more.
Yeah, I want to bring the right language through for this. Thank you. Yeah, blue tablets. This time is rewriting spiritual activation for all of us as a collective, and rewriting spiritual activation in the Akashic Records. And there's a sense of like working through this accountability and working through our own like individual activation as different hearts to thank you, to rewire the dimensions.
Ha.
or rewire how we travel and interact between them.
Well, and it's funny because my experience of dimensions is like they've all collapsed, right?
Uh-huh.
So I think what I'm watching in my day-to-day world is realities and multidimensional reality, that my reality is going to be very different than somebody else I'm standing next to, right? And so that way within the Akashic field of 2020 and of what's going on, our potentiality is being activated. So I think that's the blue pill, blue tablet thing that you're playing with. I know, I heard you guys. We've been granted greater powers, and we are learning how to use those powers right now. There's something they're saying in the challenging nature of what we're going through that's going to sharpen our axe a little bit. We will learn how to navigate this multi-dimensional.
Andy, I think you cut out for a minute. If the chat is still going, let's see. Oh, we're trying. We disconnected for a minute. So I turned this back on. And, okay. I see you. Oh, let's see. Hold on. Are you there?
Maybe they put a time frame on us. Maybe we're talking too much truth and they're like...
That is possible. But as long as we keep going, I'll just keep posting it back up. You were talking about potentiality, and I think that's where you cut out.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the string, and I may not be able to find the string anymore. But yeah, we're being activated in new ways. When we're sharpening our axe, I think is what I was saying. In harshness, we are given an opportunity to learn what our new powers are and to almost give them a test drive, right? That's kind of cool.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Si kuku sai lai nanai keke no kuku sanai. Ke sai lor no kuku. And Coop, would you just check in with me? It almost feels like it feels like the web is changing from our attention in here.
From our intention?
Attention.
Attention.
Like the field is responding to us, which is pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
And maybe we'll just get to play with that a bit too. The field does respond to us, so that's not surprising. But I think as soon as you said the blue, it started glowing a little differently, which was pretty cool to witness. Huh. Thanks. And I think I just want to make sure that those of you who are joining us or watching this later, working in the Akashic field will give you access to past life. And so we're watching a lot of the skill set and places of structure from Atlantis and Lemuria that will help be on this planet again. I don't like those words, excuse me. The skill sets that we've had in the past that actually were successful on this planet, we will need those structures and those ways of understanding the world in order to maybe reach. So we have very special access, they say right now, to be able to retrieving some of those past life memories. Certainly from more advanced civilizations, those would be the Mayans, the Egyptians, the Lemurians, the Atlanteans, and certainly others that I'm missing and we haven't quite remembered. Göbekli Tepe, good God. There have been great civilizations on this planet that have been suppressed or forgotten, and it feels to me like the records of those past lives are starting to come back online.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Then I'm home for 2 fucking weeks so I can go into my records and remember. That's awesome.
Oh, I think that's another thing. When you were naming the civilizations, that's why that was showing up. And I think that's why it's showing up in that languaging, the blue tablets. It goes back to the emerald tablets,
Woo! Oh,
which is big. I mean, that's a huge piece of the Akashic web.
yeah.
That's a really big piece. Thank you. But they're showing me that instead of it having one author, it's going to have collective authorship.
That would make perfect sense. And I was just down in Maya, and just so you know how I travel, I was really working with the Mayans to see if they would give me access to some of the ascension pathways. And I was working to see if I could feel where the gold tablets were, because the Mayans had the gold tablets. The Egyptians had the emerald tablets.
Cool. That's groovy.
Yeah, why would you just travel and visit sites? No, I... So the indigo tablets, then, it feels like we are collectively writing together now, and not we, but collectively, as we move through chapter of human history. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Which is why this, thank you, has felt so unhinged from human control. You know, it's not
written yet.
It's what?
It's not written yet. We're writing it now.
No, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And where we're at energetically and physically, literally, it's a canvas. It's the canvas is dirty. It's been dragged through the mud. But
they give us our paintbrushes for so long, Cooper. We didn't know how to create.
Exactly.
Did you just feel that string of excitement that came in? And thank you for shared sister down there, Naomi. Yes. Like there's great excitement, great creativity, and I think that's part of what I've been connecting with you guys in my love circle on. There's so much to create right now. Mm-hmm. There's so much potential to be able to dream the new dream right now.
Yes.
And so thank you. And I keep seeing almost like we are overriding, I know, and that's came through earlier today with the client. We're overriding 3D. Because 3D has been so populated with a control agenda. And I actually saw 6D coming in. 5D is not even going to be stable enough for us. We've got to get up to 6 dimension in order to stabilize this bit. Whoa. Yeah, they didn't give us a heads up. They couldn't. We would have. We wouldn't have been as brave as we need to be.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was. That's what I was getting to, because we've seen what anticipating it has been like in the physical plane. We've seen that. It's not.
No, and thank you. I think in that way too, if we worried about it, then we affected negatively what could come, right? We have to remember that we do have powers of co-creation in this way, certainly now, more than ever. So if we had projected our fears into it, we wouldn't have been very useful during it. So the fear that's coming up, and it's a strange thing because, again, we've got this like chasm in humanity right now. Those of us who are having these conversations and have been having these conversations, those of us who have been awake and being like, that's a fucking problem. Do you guys not know that that's a problem over there? And now people are waking up and they're like, oh, yeah, I guess our medical system isn't really designed. No, fuck. We've been saying that for a damn long time. And thank you. Riled up is... So those of us who have been on this path of awakening or in service or doing our spiritual work, we may not be as scared as others, which is good. But if we had gotten an early heads up in December that this was coming, we may have freaked out. Fair. Totally fair. I will own.
Yeah. And that's something, I mean, we've been kind of talking about that through the weekend, those fears. And, yeah. And also, I mean, that it goes back to that question of like, why did we not see it? Why have we not seen it? And I think we've seen glimpses of it in different ways. But it's felt so, thank you, because we've been so connected to our systems.
Oh, our vision was even filtered by the systems.
Yeah.
Okay, so client today is talking about buying a house, and this is something she's had on the agenda for a long time. And what came through, and it's just funny, like, you won't need to buy a house. And she's like, I don't understand that. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you except the house will be vacated and you'll be able to choose whatever house you want. She's like, I don't understand that. And I'm like, I can't explain to you what it is that I'm seeing. So even in this sense right now of us being seers or visionaries or psychic in some way, even trying to perceive what's going on even into June, it's a little foggy for us because so many of the structures are changing so quickly. So many of it's a new paradigm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any sense on how long we need to go through this lesson? I'm going to ask that of the records. Because that's being written too. That's pretty clear. I know. My sense always has been, and sorry to ask a question and answer a question, but like we can get through this quickly. It's not catastrophic, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. No, because we're in a place that feels lucid enough to recognize our support systems. The lesson is using those support systems.
That's right. And I've been playing with this idea with one of my apprentices too, like this idea of like lucid living, like
yeah.
fluidity of everything right now. And there's great ability. We get to dictate what's going on, but we have to be very fluid and move like water through it because exactly it. Thank you. Just like it's Lemurian. This is our old stuff that's coming back up to the surface. The dragon flooding, the dragon storm that's going on in Egypt. I'm a little fascinated by too. I'm like, it's out, draining the swamp, right? We're going to need to drain a fucking swamp. So like flush that shit out.
Also, sorry to interrupt. I was reading about the storm after you were telling me about it.
I just talk shit over here sometimes from them. Follow up. So thanks. Teach us, please. Oh,
yeah. So for those that don't know, there was a massive storm in Egypt recently. Called the Dragon Storm, which is intense, and it's been flooding the country like crazy, and there have been some fatalities because of it. But the path of the storm is actually heading towards Israel, which is really fascinating. I mean, it's so close together; it's right next door to Egypt. But in this time of such a collective spiritual shift and collective unity out of chaos. It's fascinating that it's going to the Earth's, to humanity's heart center of spirituality. I think that's really fascinating. Oh,
well, and it's because those are both cultures that are pretty like even yes, heard you, thank you. Even in their reincarnation patterns, and I certainly know this of the Jewish tradition, but I would be guessing it. Like they keep reincarnating within the same. Families, right? They keep that reincarnation is really tight, certainly for the Egyptians. That fucking makes sense. So they're going to be, yeah, I know. I don't get it all, but it's purposeful.
Spiritual lineage.
Yeah, thanks for hopping in to save me there. I was just inspired.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's super fascinating too is having this. This storm, this flood, and this purge going from Egypt to Israel this time of year is really fascinating too. Just in conjunction with like the Exodus. you know, and like that's my Jewish coming through. I think that's you know, there's huge messages in that.
It's the resurrection and rebirth story, right? And this is the return of light, and certainly within the Akashic and the initiation that that comes through quite a bit. Elementi, through those processes, through all of our initiatory processes in the mystery schools, we learn how to go through those death processes consciously because we're actually evolving in that way. So yeah, it would make sense they hit both of those because it is hitting some of the oldest, ancientest secrets that are on this planet. That's interesting.
Yeah. Something that's coming through with the Akashic records and storms, and this is something that I've been feeling, but it's feeling more confirmed for me. As far as timeline and as far as getting towards learning the lesson or progressing through the lesson, I'm seeing more like physical storms along the way. Like the water is, thank you. There's going to be more water showing up by way of storm, and that's also going to be a test of that rebirthing.
It's washing.
Yeah. Thank you. They're saying that's why like figuring out our support systems as people and as grounded beings right now is super important. Because if we're operating purely in the emotional, in the water, then we're just, that's going to sweep us away. Thank you. And the current structure keepers do not operate in the water. They don't operate in that emotional field.
Which makes sense. Mud too, right? We need the mud because that at least oh, that's so good. The mud gives us the fluidity to change, right? If it's like steel or concrete, not as bendable, not as pliable for those of us who are moving through these, because the structures will need to change into that base of mud. Anything is possible. You add some water to that. Wow, we can flush some shit out. Awesome. Yeah. And I also have a sense like this does, thank you. And I want to be very cautious with any type of prediction prophecies because it's all a little tender right now. Mm-hmm. But it feels like this is very clearly through spring, but this does not go into summer. We're not in it come June.
Yeah, that's, I mean,
this is short.
Yeah.
And in that way, like I'm one of those of like, yeah, let's like hunker down and get through this and let the big wave wash over us so that we can get to work rebuilding in a way that is more supportive of life, humanity, conscious evolution, and all of it, right?
Yeah. And to remember our power in the stillness once we're on the other side.
Woo! Sing it. Say it.
That's huge. Remembering our power in the stillness when we're on the other side of all of this. That's so important. Because that's going to ground our optimism. It's going to ground what we're seeing. Thank you. Yeah, the manifestation work has to happen now. Has to happen now so we can secure the bag.
Yeah.
In summer.
Like when you say now, I'm like tonight now. I got that message really clearly. Like I need to be in ceremony probably for the rest of the week. The manifestation, the visualization, the hold the light is kind of the words that keep flowing through. We need to hold the light on this because the clearer that we can have this vision of what we want on the other side, because we really, I hear you, Shannon, Kiki. I have Galactic Light Council who's coming in. And of course, not right now, guys. But they're like, our power to be able to have a say has never been louder than it is right now. We're also in this interesting time of the Ides of March, which historically, March 15th, this is the big deal. Thank you. Cool. They say being able to hold this light or hold this portal of like the potentiality of manifesting a world beyond between now and April 15th. April 15th tax day, which usually has a lot of fear around it,
Mhm.
able to like get all the way through that, doing big ceremony would be really beneficial.
Yeah.
And thank you. I want to really speak into stillness too, because it's beautiful. I think in my personal practice, I've been working on the yin and the yang, right? And recognizing professionally I'm pretty yang, but personally I'm pretty yin. I'm pretty feminine in that way. I am waiting for the world to like open and invite rather than me driving some big agenda in that way. So that stillness that we are not forced into, but that we choose to rest in. So when, I said, fuck you guys. I said when we go into quarantine, instead of that being a punishment, I want you to recognize that that is a beautiful opportunity for stillness that you may not have given yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's been a message that's been showing up for me as well.
It will happen, and I don't think that that is the worst case scenario. And if it feels super scary, I'll encourage you guys to maybe go down some other rabbit holes that have got other ideas. But my big theory on this is when we get people at home and they realize how much they actually hate their jobs, and when they can't pay mortgages, you can't pay your bills, and yet you still have electricity, you're like, why have I fucking been doing this all along? What has been the point of me going to work for a job? But because you've been in the race, you haven't been able to like step out of it.
Yeah.
This is a pause button. Cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. They're saying I'm reading the feed. The gift to enter the stillness. Absolutely, it's a gift to enter the stillness. And we are going to be given a little bit of that gift. And that may feel like a gift that we don't want to accept with open arms. But for those of you that have difficulty finding the stillness, this is your opportunity to try it on for size, because you won't have another option.
And that's funny. Yeah, you won't have another option, but also like on the other side of this, and I think I was saying this to you on the phone, I get a little excited by the chaos because I know on the other side of the chaos is my purpose. I was put here to rebuild. I was put here to do this. So the stillness, yeah, I think I will happily take a little bit of that if I get it. And then it's certainly, I think for you as well, Coop, like this stillness when everybody else is still, I'm not still. I've actually more clients booked than I have in months because I opened in a different way for that.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like stillness for all of us.
But as a light worker, as a creative, as a healer, we feel often at our most still when we're centered in that. When we're the eye of our own storm.
Yeah.
You know, and because I agree, and I know that like myself included, and a lot of other our workers, we're here doing what we're here to do. And
well, and I'll say like my stillness, what I've watched too, like I'm nesting a lot, making a lot of food, I'm hanging out with my kid, doing puzzles and art projects, and so like I'm working with clients and doing what I do, but then my stillness is really more concentrated on her in a way that I haven't been really good at it before.
Yeah.
Huh.
Thank you. Yeah, the guides are saying too. It's important to utilize this time for those things. Do those puzzles. Connect with family and friends, because it's very easy to sit at home and keep going on that endless scroll. You know, reading articles and sitting in that fear. And the only way to disconnect from that is to connect with that creative stillness elsewhere.
Well, and remembering the fear is the matrix too, right? Yeah. That's a little plugging from. the world is, and to me, like that's all fourth dimensional, 4D. That's the virtual reality that they've told you is reality. As shamans, we're like, oh, fuck that, I'm going to create my own. So being able to work through the Akashic Field, being able to, thank you. And I think a bit my guides want to make sure that we share too, like we are in this process of remembering that we're divine. We've been talking about it metaphorically. We've been practicing it spiritually. We've been activating it within a light body, but we're really coming to a place of like, oh, now I know what you mean. And that feels pretty exciting to me too. But we're moving into place of greater divinity, greater affect in the world, and greater creative powers. Cool.
Yeah.
So if I need to hang out at home and make some food and hope that Netflix doesn't go out for a while, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. Me too. My reading list keeps getting longer. The more I'm at home, my book list is growing. But I keep watching Netflix instead.
If anybody gets it, and yeah, I've got all the Egyptian Mystery School stuff in my basement where I'm just like, dive in and yeah, like let's get into all that ascension teaching stuff. I'm ready to play. Give me some time to do that. I'm happy. And I'm gonna say it feels like it's a good time to start wrapping up. So would you just tap in, Mr. Kaminsky, and see what wants to be shared?
Yeah. Okay.
Woo! Big heart activation, so I want to make sure that you guys are tapping into that, like very big heart energy coming in here. Giving thanks for not only your willingness to participate in this evolution and grand experiment, but certainly from me and Cooper, thanks for being willing to even sit with us for a few minutes today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And we are both here in different ways for whoever needs us. I want to connect up and see if there's anything else the Akashic Masters and guides want to bring through from the records before we finish.
I'm just going to be doing a little bit of light language activations over here while Cooper's bringing them. Woo! Yo, that feels better.
Thank you. I felt that over here. Yeah. This time is very important for choosing to use, not choosing to use it wisely, choosing to use it, choosing to use this time for your heart, and choosing to take it places, choosing to let yourself grow from it and spread those wings and evolve. We're talking about spiritual evolution. It's here. It's available to us. Thank you. And it starts with the stillness. It starts with doing those things that nourish and nurture and feed the heart. What?
Starts with not doing.
The what? Yeah, the not doing. That's big. That's important.
They also want to make sure that you guys understand. You probably do what Cooper and I do in your own ways. That's going to be activated even more. So thank you. Expect psychic miracles. Expect massive activation of your gifts. Expect downloads, both from galactic spaces and past life. This feels like a massive portal of activation. But if you're in a fear frequency, you'll miss it, which is part of why I think they're pumping that through.
Yeah, they were saying it's not going to come through if it's tangled. So,
yeah,
find your resources to detangle.
Yeah, even thank you. That's interesting. They're suggesting even turning your internet off at a certain time of day, just to like. Thank you. I heard you. God damn it, guys. Excuse me. 5G. If you're in places with 5G, 5G is going to hurt your immune system. So make sure that you're doing extra support if you are in one of those spaces. But unplugging the internet, they say, would be very beneficial for even more of a reset on your parasympathetic nervous system. Okay. Ooh, cards are shuffling.
Mm-hmm. Feels like time.
I always get jealous when I hear y'all shuffle cards like that. I'm like, I can't do that. Yeah, no, I do it like a kid, and I'm like, it's fucking fun. No. I don't have magic card hands that way. I can do that though. Charles, I see you down there. I've been seeing you the whole time. So, we say that, Queen City Healing Arts, beautiful friend of both of ours, Charles. He's been doing such powerful work these days, beautiful meditations and just holding light really strong ways. And Charles, whenever I watch what you're doing, I feel a little intimidated that I'm not doing more. So thank you for doing as much as you are, so I can hang out in stillness.
I second that entirely. Please connect up with Queen City Healing Arts and Charlie, doing amazing work, especially for you, across all lands, but also a Denver local, which is super duper special.
You know, I think we're really lucky here in Denver. Can I say that too?
Yes.
We have a really good core of people who really respect one another, people who we all respect that each other's gifts manifest differently. So I don't see a whole lot of competition. I see a whole lot of respect and adoration from us. So it's pretty good. Mm-hmm. Lucky.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you are in New York City and you're feeling all the 5G, get your ass to fucking Denver or somewhere that has got open sky for you. I don't really need everybody coming to Denver, but
Austin. Go to Austin.
Good. Sedona is the other place that I keep hearing. Get into open spaces with open land, and it will feel.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, I pulled a card that we could talk about in a second. But Andye, is there anything else that you want to share?
No, I think just it started out a little tense for me with what I was seeing in the field because I'm an optimist. But yeah, coming into this heart energy and recognizing the purpose of it feels good. So thanks for letting us go on this whole journey to authentically experience what we did today.
Yeah. Thank you for patience with our flow. That's been really special and big. The card I've been working a lot with the Work Your Light Oracle. So beautiful. It's the same creator as the Star Seed Oracle. I love it. Which is that in your hand? Oh, great.
Who do I pull?
Yes, High Priestess.
Yes,
I love it. I love that High Priestess card too. It's so beautiful. The card that showed up was Keepers of the Earth.
Whoa.
You're not alone. Your ancestors stand behind you. That's a really, really important message. Know that they are standing behind us. They are on our sides. And their presence is non-linear, and that's something that's super important to remember as well.
I need to add something here because this has been coming through really loud too. The ancestors have lived through tragedies that we do not have to live through. It is not our karma to repeat that. So whenever we can lean on them who have already lived through it, we are granted more ability to change the destiny outcome of this. So let the ancestors carry that burden and let their prayers for you be lighter and easier, that we don't have to create that same outcome.
Yeah. I like to think of that visually, actually. when you're seeing repeat patterns, repeat trauma, repeat events showing up that your ancestors may have experienced or experienced things similar, instead of repeating that circle saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to fight through this like my ancestors did, fight through it with the support of all your ancestors. Work through it on a higher level instead of just walking around that circle again. Focus on spiraling upwards, walking upwards in an upward spiral instead of just in that cyclical motion. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. Because again, our consciousness evolved, their love for us, their ability to support us. We don't have to go through the same rut that they did. We do it at a different elevation, different vibration, different frequency. Again, allows us to have a very different experience of it that doesn't look like famines and world catastrophe. There's a word. Whew. Did you just say that? Fight through it with the support of your ancestors, Cooper? I
guess so.
Yes. Thanks for all of this so that I can just be like, God, you're cool. And tell you, like, I've had a crush on Cooper since before I met him. And then I met him outside one time and he was wearing a Tom Waits thing. And I'm like, who are you? Oh my God, I love you. So yeah, it's
I think about that a lot.
It's an old love affair that we have, many lifetimes old, that we're pretty lucky to be able to bump into in this life.
Yeah. Super special, and all because of Tom, and many other reasons.
Other things I remember. I think there was some big connection too that was pretty crazy. So yeah, we've got a few pieces.
Yeah. All right. Do we want to take a moment and close the records while we're still on the feed?
And we're going to talk at the same time. So if you can't hear us, and thank the keepers of the Akashic Record, loved ones, guides, masters.
We thank the Great Spirit for holding us in the light, and we honor the masters, teachers, and loved ones of the Akashic for connecting us to our spirit, the Akashic Records, and the Great Spirit of Light.
Yeah.
Chakras are now closed. Yeah.
Like that. Okay. Thanks for organizing this, Coop, and thanks for being willing to participate. And
yeah.
I think more of this, because the collaboration and us being able to come together during these times will be crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. I'm so happy to to be here doing this with you. It's super special.
And figured out the technology just to do it even better too. So I've been like, I don't know how to do a live. Okay, thanks.
I know, right? Yeah, we did it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you everyone for watching. Okay, bye.
Love you guys.